what is Recloseted?
So Recloseted, we're a consulting agency and we're on a mission to right the harmful fashion industry. So what that looks like is we help launch and scale sustainable fashion brands, and then we also help existing fashion brands become more sustainable. So there's a lot of business work that we do. And then on the other side, I also like to educate and empower and inform consumers. So we do a lot of education and awareness raising through our various platforms.
Why is sustainability important?
Opinion sustainability is extremely important because we cannot keep doing what we're doing, and we cannot keep consuming what we're consuming and doing things at the rate that we are right now. In my opinion, there's no other choice. We need to do better. We need to act better. We need to be better. And for me personally, sustainable fashion has been a very big calling for me because I watched The True Cost, which is a documentary that I think was on Netflix. I don't know if it's still on Netflix anymore, but yeah, The True Cost really opened my eyes to just everything happening in the fashion industry, how bad it was, and all the dirty secrets behind the garments that we wear. So ultimately, I just think that there's no other option anymore. Like, we need to open our eyes, we need to do better, and together we need to change things.
I understand that you have a handbook that you write about Recloseted and sustainability. What inspired you to write it?
So the handbook really came out in a very organic manner. So the handbook is meant for consumers, and it's meant to be a resource to help everyday consumers become a more conscious clothing consumer. And what had happened was, after I watched The True Cost, I was super devastated, super heartbroken, and I wanted to educate myself. So I started talking to industry professionals, I started interviewing people, and then also just researching online and reading publications. And so I was sitting on all this research, and I didn't feel like there was anything out there that talked about this from an end-to-end perspective. Some people would talk about, let's say, the labor piece. Some people would talk about materials, but no one kind of did an overview of everything, talked about the materials, the labor, what to do with your clothes when you don't want them anymore, all of that. And so I decided to do a handbook, and I'd never wrote a book before. I thought it was going to be super easy, but it obviously wasn't. But I'm really glad I did it, and I still get messages quite frequently of people messaging me and saying that this really opened their eyes, this helped change their habits and their consumption, so that makes me really happy. And yeah, so it just came about in a very organic manner. I was just sitting on all this stuff, and I just felt compelled to put it out there in the world because I felt like there was a gap in the market and no one had addressed these topics.
So I know you have a podcast as well. What inspired you to start the podcast, and does it help you connect to a different audience, for instance, like a younger generation?
The podcast is interesting. I just started it because I wanted another outlet to kind of raise awareness and have these conversations that I felt needed to be had. And currently we do episodes on both awareness raising about fashion sustainability, but I also do a lot of business episodes recently as well because I have a lot of sustainable fashion founders that listen to me. So it's just a platform, an additional outlet for us to kind of spread our message, spread our value, and really start and add to our movement. And yeah, so again, it kind of started organically. I just felt like we needed another platform. And now it's just grown to have an audience of both, younger generation people, consumers, but also sustainable fashion business owners as well. So that's been really cool.
So I understand that you have a brand launch program as well to help other brands. What is it for someone who doesn't know?
Yeah, so our consulting services, basically, there's a few things we offer for sustainable fashion founders. The first thing we offer is a one-time consultation. So let's say someone just has one or two issues that they're currently struggling with, and then they just needed a quick touch point. So that's available for people, a more touch and go kind of thing. And then on the other end, I also do have comprehensive programs I work through with my clients. So one of them, to your point, is the brand launch program. So this takes an idea of starting a brand and really turns it into conception and turns it into reality. So in that program, I work with clients on product development. So we source sustainable materials. I help them find ethical and conscious manufacturers. And then once the product is developed and we've, created something great, then I help them with the business as well. So we help them with the financials, their marketing strategy, their sales strategy, their distribution, their social media, their website. It's quite comprehensive. And so literally it's very descriptive to the name of the program. We're literally launching a sustainable fashion brand through that one. And then another program I'm running is just a revenue accelerator program. So that one's just for brands that already have a product, but they're just looking to get to the next level in terms of their revenues and their profitability. So kind of looking to more scale and take their business to the next level. So that one's just more on business consulting. And then last but not least, I offer sustainability and social makeovers as well. So that one's more of a touch and go as well, but just for an existing fashion brand, if they're hoping to lessen their carbon footprint, if they're hoping to be a little bit more conscious, I go in, I work with their budgets and their timelines to kind of help them achieve the biggest change that they can have.
How easy would you say it is to find sustainable materials and ethical companies who help make the materials and give fair trade to their workers? Would you say that's easier to do now, or is it still hard?
I would say that it's getting easier because the needle is moving more towards conscious fashion and slow fashion, which is great to see. So there are more manufacturers, there are more factories, there are more certifications, there are more guidelines. So I would say it's getting easier. It's still not the mainstream and the norm, which is kind of sad to see. But the thing is, it is shifting. So yeah, that's why I have my programs, because it can be difficult. There is a lot of greenwashing going on. There's even some certifications where they can be a little bogus. I've actually heard of the manufacturing faking certifications. So it's really important to make sure you kind of cut through all of that noise and choose materials that are actually good for the end consumer and work with manufacturers that actually treat their workers fairly. So yeah, I think long story short, things are getting better. It's still not the mainstream. It's still not super easy to find, but if you put in the effort and you do your research, it is doable.
Okay, and then I asked this question to everybody that I've interviewed and everybody that I will continue to interview. What, in your opinion, is the future of fashion?
So the future of fashion, I think it's an exciting time. I've heard a lot of people say that they think that fashion is kind of where veganism or food was a few years ago. I do think we're in the earlier stages of sustainability, but I do think what I was saying at the beginning rings true, and the fact that we have no other choice. We can't keep consuming the way we are. We can't keep sending millions of tons of textiles to landfill to rot for centuries to come. It's just we can't do that anymore, so things have to change. So I think that the future of fashion is really exciting. There's a lot of emerging designers and people coming out of schools that understand that you need to design for longevity. Zero waste design is becoming a thing, which is really cool. More certifications coming around, and a lot of innovation in terms of materials like tencel or pineapple, vegan leather. There's a lot of stuff going on. So I think the future of fashion is promising, but it does need to continue to kind of move towards that sustainability needle. And I would say consumers also need to take part as well. One of the things they can, quite frankly, do very easily is just buy less clothing. I think a lot of people tend to think that sustainable fashion is very expensive and not accessible to the everyday person, which, sometimes can ring true. Good quality clothing is more expensive. But one of the cheapest things that you can do is just buy less, and that way you can have such a big impact as well, right? Imagine if all 7 billion of us just bought a couple less pieces of garments. That would have a really big impact. So, yeah, I think long story short, it's promising. We're moving the needle, but we need to continue to chug along. We need to continue to do our parts and continue to ask questions.